Welcome to my attempt at solving the simple sorting practice quiz. So let's take a look at what the quiz asks us to do. And I have 25 minutes to solve this quiz, so I want to write down a simple Java class that has one static method, bubble sort, which does a bubble sort on the array data using the compare comparator. So let's get started. Again, I'm using my text editor, bubble sort class. Put in my author tag. So now I need a public class bubble sort, and it has a public static void bubble sort method. It takes an array of type E called data and a comparator type E called compare. So we're going to use compare to compare the two items in the array and decide whether or not we need to swap them. So remember bubble sort. Let's add the Java duck. Uses the bubble sort algorithm to sort the data array. At param data the array to sort. At param compare the comparator that we use to determine the order. Remember again that the return's negative, so bubble sort, we do a do while loop until we've gone through the whole thing. So we need to remember pass, how many passes through, because at each time through the loop we will have the largest item will be in the correct place, so we only have to do it n times. So we say pass equals 0, boolean done or exchanged equals false. So if it's sorted, we go through and we don't do an exchange, we know that we're done. If we ever go through all the items. So now we know how many passes we're doing. We know when to stop if we don't do a swap. So now we do our do loop. And then I want to stop this. We keep going while exchange. So if we have swapped an item in the array, we need to keep going until we no longer have swapped any items. So now we need to start our loop. So we go for int I equals, and we're started at 0. I is less than data dot length minus pass. May need to change that pass to a 1. I plus plus. Okay, so we're going to start at 0. And now we want to say int result equals, that should be compare. I cannot spell or type. Compare dot compare, and now I have object 1, which is data sub I, and data sub I plus 1. So that means pass needs to be 1. Oh, 0. I'm sorry, this needs to be 0. 0. But if I am at data.length, then I will be off the end of the array, so I need to say -1, so that I can't get to the end of the array. So we have to have that extra -1 at the end. Okay, so now, if the result is less than 0, no, greater than 0. So if the item at I is larger than the item at I plus 1, we want to swap them. So we need to do the swap. Line up my parentheses. E temp equals data sub I. Data sub I equals data sub I plus 1. So we swapped the next one to the first one. We say data sub I plus 1 is equal to temp. So we put the temp back there. So we've swapped them, and exchange equals true. So if we did that, we say exchange is true. After, we can move this actually. Need to make sure that it's false at the beginning, because each time we've done the swaps, we want to make sure that we reset exchange to false, and so that if we don't do any swaps, we stop the outer loop. So when my putting it here is incorrect. Putting it inside, I could have moved this whole thing down, or I just set it to false inside the loop. So only time it's going to be true is if we did a swap, at least one swap. And then we need to go here and say pass plus plus. So we increment the number of passes that we go through, and then, so eventually we'll be only comparing the items. The largest one will get to the end, and then the next largest, and the next largest, until finally we get to compare 0 and the next one, and then we'll either swap them or the thing will be sorted, or we've done no passes through the array and we'll be finished, because exchange will never be set to true, and then we're done with our bubble sort. So again, the bubble is the small things move to the top, or those big things sink to the bottom. Largest one will always go to the bottom of the array, or the largest index of the array. So it looks like I have solved the problem in about 8 minutes. Remember, we do for the bubble sort, we loop until we haven't made an exchange, and for each pass of that outer loop, we're comparing the two adjacent items, and we swap them if the leftmost one is greater than the rightmost one. So we want big ones to move to the end. Thank you very much for your attention.